Right now, there is a yellow weather warning sitting over southern England and Wales. And if you are watching this from anywhere between Plymouth and London, between Cardiff and Bristol, you need to hear what is coming for you in the next 12 hours. Because the Met Office has just updated their forecast, and there is a very specific window of time today, Monday the 9th of February, where conditions are going to turn. I am going to walk you through exactly when the rain starts in your area, exactly when it peaks, and exactly when it clears. But here is the thing most forecasters will not tell you. This is not just about today. There is a much bigger pattern building behind this system, and by the time we reach Wednesday, something entirely different could be heading for Scotland that changes everything. I will get to that at around the 5-minute mark. But first, let me give you the numbers that matter right now. Between midday and midnight tonight, 10 to 15 millimeters of rain is expected to fall across a wide area of southern England and Wales. That does not sound like much, does it? But here is where it gets serious. In places exposed to the strong south to southeasterly winds, accumulations could reach 20 to 30 millimeters. And remember, the ground is already saturated. January was one of the wettest on record. Cornwall recorded its wettest January ever. Northern Ireland broke rainfall records too. So every drop that falls today has nowhere to go. It sits on the surface. It runs into rivers that are already high. It pools on roads that are already waterlogged. Now, let me break this down city by city, because your forecast depends entirely on where you are standing. London. You are waking up to a mild morning around 9 degrees with cloud and a few bright spells trying to break through. Enjoy that, because it will not last. By early afternoon, the rain moves in from the west. It reaches central London between 1 and 2 in the afternoon. The heaviest bursts come between 3 and 6 in the evening, right in the middle of rush hour. Gusts will be modest, around 15 miles per hour, but the rain will be persistent and heavy at times. Temperatures hold at around 11 degrees during the day, dropping to around 6 overnight. The rain eases by late evening, but do not be fooled. Tuesday brings more cloud and further rain, with fresher coastal winds developing along the Thames estuary. Bristol and Bath, you are in the firing line earlier than London. The rain band reaches you by late morning, perhaps around 11. The worst of it comes between midday and 4 in the afternoon. With the southeasterly winds funneling up the Severn estuary, you could see some of the highest totals in the country today. Bristol is looking at a maximum of around 10 degrees, but the feels like temperature will be noticeably lower with that wind and rain combination. If you are near the River Avon or any low-lying areas, please keep a close eye on flood alerts tonight. Cardiff and South Wales, the warning covers you too. Rain pushes in during the late morning, intensifying through the afternoon. Cardiff sits right in the path of this system, with 10 to 15 millimeters widely expected and potentially more in exposed areas facing the southeasterly flow. The valleys could see even heavier totals as the terrain forces the moist air upwards, temperatures around 9 to 10 degrees. The rain should ease from the west during the evening, but remain vigilant about surface water on roads. Now, do not skip ahead, because here is something important. If you are watching this from the Midlands, from Birmingham, from Sheffield, from Manchester, your situation is different. And what happens to you later this week could be more significant than what happens today. Stay with me, because I am going to cover the Midlands and the North in just a moment. But first, drop a comment below telling me where you are watching from. I want to know your location so I can give you a more specific forecast in the next video. Seriously, type your town or city right now. The more of you who comment, the more targeted I can make these updates. Right, the Midlands. Birmingham, you are on the northern edge of today's yellow warning. Rain reaches you by mid-afternoon, but it will not be as heavy or as prolonged as what hits further south. You are looking at temperatures around 9 degrees, cloudy skies, and intermittent showers, rather than the persistent bands hitting the south coast. But here is your twist. As this system clears through Tuesday, colder air starts to push down from the north. By Wednesday, the Met Office is already flagging the possibility of hill snow over the Scottish mountains. And when that colder air arrives, the Midlands sits right on the battleground between the milder southern air and the colder northern air. That boundary is where the most unpredictable weather happens. Sleet, freezing rain, sudden temperature drops. I will cover that in detail in the next video. Sheffield and Leeds. Similar story to Birmingham, but you are slightly further north, which means less rain today, but a greater chance of feeling that cold air arrival sooner. Sheffield is around 9 degrees today, mostly cloudy. The rain that affects the south will clip your area but not dominate your day. However, Tuesday and Wednesday look increasingly unsettled, and by Thursday, the winds are expected to freshen significantly. Keep watching. Manchester and Liverpool, you are largely on the edge of today's main event. Showers are possible, especially during the afternoon, but the heaviest rain stays further south and east. Manchester is looking at around 9 degrees with cloudy skies. Liverpool similar. The main story for you comes later in the week, when Atlantic systems push through from the west and the winds pick up. I will break that down for you. Now, here is where I promise to deliver something important, and I keep my promises. The bigger picture. Because today's rain warning is not an isolated event. It is part of a pattern that has been locked in place for weeks, and understanding that pattern is the key to knowing what is coming next. The jet stream, that river of fast-moving air high in the atmosphere that steers our weather systems, is sitting much further south than it should be for this time of year. Normally in February, it tracks well to the north of the United Kingdom, pushing weather systems harmlessly into Scandinavia. But right now, it is aimed directly at us. And it is not just slightly displaced, it is significantly further south and very active, pumping one low-pressure system after another right across our doorstep. At the same time, there is a block of high pressure sitting over Scandinavia that refuses to budge. Think of it like a wall. The Atlantic systems come barreling in from the southwest, hit that wall, and stall. That is why we have had weeks of persistent rain. That is why the ground is waterlogged. That is why even modest rainfall amounts are causing floods. And here is the part that should make you pay attention. The Met Office 10-day trend, published just days ago, says there is little sign of a major change in this pattern. The search for something different continues into next week, and the signs simply are not there. That is a direct summary of their assessment. We are locked in. But, and this is the twist I have been holding back, there is a hint, just a hint, that around the middle of next week, the jet stream might start to tilt. One of the major computer models, the European model, suggests a low-pressure system could finally push across the southern half of the United Kingdom and into northern Europe. If that happens, it could dislodge that Scandinavian high-pressure block that has been causing all of this trouble. And what replaces it? Colder air from the north, significantly colder. We are talking about the possibility of a markedly colder spell arriving towards the end of next week. Now, I want to be clear, this is not a certainty. The models diverge on what happens. But the possibility alone is worth preparing for, because if that colder air does arrive and it meets the moisture from these Atlantic systems, the result could be widespread snow, not just on the hills, at lower levels too. Let me now take you north. Edinburgh and Glasgow. Today, you are dealing with persistent rain and drizzle, which has been hanging around Scotland for days. The Northern Isles face the risk of coastal gales. Temperatures are around 7 degrees in both cities. The rain slowly clears northwards through Monday, but it is a brief respite. Tuesday brings more cloud and further showers. And here is what matters for Scotland. From Wednesday, the Met Office says hill snow is possible over the Scottish mountains. The colder air pushing down from the north will hit Scotland first. The Highlands, the Cairngorms, the Grampians, all of these areas could see significant snowfall by the middle of the week. At the start of January, temperatures dropped to minus 14.7 degrees Celsius at Tomintoul in Banffshire. We are not forecasting anything that extreme right now, but the direction of travel is clear. Newcastle and the northeast. You have been in the cold zone for weeks, sitting on the wrong side of that temperature divide. Today is no different. Temperatures around 7 degrees, grey skies, and that persistent chill off the North Sea. The main rain event stays south of you, but showers are possible. Your big concern is the developing pattern later in the week. If the colder air pushes further south, the northeast could see sleet or snow showers by Thursday or Friday. Winds off the North Sea will make it feel even colder, with feels like temperatures potentially dropping close to freezing even during the day. Plymouth and the southwest. You are right at the sharp end of today's weather. Plymouth is already seeing gusts of up to 38 miles per hour this morning. The rain arrives early and stays heavy through the afternoon. Humidity is at 97%. That is almost as wet as the air can get before it simply cannot hold any more moisture. If you are driving on the A30 or the M5 today, expect spray, standing water, and reduced visibility. Take extra time. Leave bigger gaps. And if you do not need to travel this afternoon between 2 and 7, consider staying put. Now, I need to repeat something because it is that important. There are active flood warnings right now across multiple regions of England. Northeast England, Northwest England, Yorkshire and Humber, the East Midlands, the West Midlands, the East of England, London and the Southeast and the Southwest. That is almost the entire country. These are not casual advisories. These are live flood warnings issued by the Environment Agency. If you live near a river, a stream, or in a low-lying area, check the Environment Agency website or app right now. Do not wait until the water is at your door. Let me give you your preparation checklist, because knowing the forecast is only useful if you act on it. Step 1. Check your property. If you are in a flood risk area, do you have sandbags? Do you know where your stopcock is? Can you move valuables upstairs if needed? Step 2. Your travel. If you are commuting today, especially in London, Bristol, Cardiff, or anywhere in the yellow warning zone, check your route before you leave. Trains and buses will probably be affected. Journey times will be longer. Give yourself an extra 30 minutes at least. Step 3. Power. We have seen power cuts with recent storms. Have a torch ready. Charge your phone fully now. If you have a portable battery pack, charge that too. Step 4. Keep checking. The Met Office themselves say to be prepared for weather warnings to change quickly. What is yellow today could become amber tomorrow. Bookmark the Met Office warnings page or download their app. Step 5. Talk to your neighbours, especially if you know someone elderly or vulnerable nearby. A quick knock on the door to check they are prepared could make a real difference. Now, looking further ahead, because I know many of you plan your week around the weather, Tuesday, the 11th of February. More cloud and further rain and showers expected across much of the country. Fresher coastal winds develop, particularly along the south and east coasts. Temperatures remain around 11 to 12 degrees in London, but start to cool further north. Wednesday, the 12th. This is the transition day. Rain and showers continue, but the big story is the colder air trying to push south. Hill snow becomes possible over the Scottish mountains. Winds could pick up. The battle between mild Atlantic air and cold northern air creates a very uncertain picture, and the Met Office forecast confidence drops from this point onwards. Thursday, the 13th onward, showery conditions with freshening winds. Temperatures start to drop more noticeably, especially in the north. London could see highs falling from 12 degrees to just 7, Edinburgh could drop below freezing overnight. And if the European model is right about that jet stream shift, the end of next week could look very different from where we are now. The long-range outlook through to the 8th of March shows predominantly cyclonic patterns dominating the United Kingdom. That means continued unsettled weather, with showers or longer spells of rain, heavy at times. Some drier interludes are likely, but flooding impacts remain possible. Temperatures are expected to stay close to average overall, though the chance of a late-season cold spell has not been ruled out. So here is where we stand. Today is about rain in the south. This week is about the cold air moving in from the north. And next week could bring a genuine pattern change that affects every single one of us. Comment below with your location. Tell me your town, your city, your county. I read every single comment and I use them to decide what to cover next. If enough of you are from one area, I will do a dedicated deep dive forecast just for your region. And in the next video, I am going to break down exactly what happens if that Scandinavian high pressure block finally collapses. Because if it does, we could be looking at the most significant weather shift of the entire winter. You will not want to miss that one. Make sure you are subscribed so it lands in your feed the moment it drops. Stay safe out there today. Check those flood warnings, and I will see you in the